All right, shake it out, loosen up a little bit. This is the Gun Talk After Show. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's serious, but it's always worth it to hang around for the after show. A lot of times we cover topics we either couldn't get to or didn't want to put on the radio. If you're on hold, stay right there, because we're calling Tom back to the microphone for a little more fun. Show producer Jim Kinsey will be here along with Michael and Michelle. Now, the Gun Talk After Show.
All right, now we're going to be doing some after show talking about guns. I'm Tom Gresham, and I'm glad that everybody could still join us. We got some folks on hold, and in the studio here, we've got Michael. You there?
I am. How are you?
And James.
Hello.
Michelle.
Saving the best for last, Tom. I like it.
Always, dear. Oh, okay. All right. Can I leave now? Did I do okay?
Yeah, take care.
Okay, good. All right, you guys got this. Oh, we had a good time today. Lots of good callers. The one that I was a little bit worried about is we had the lady who wasn't sure what grain, what gun, what anything. And were you guys okay with how that thing went?
Well, I'm glad that you suggested that she take a class.
I think she was a middleman for somebody else. I think somebody was feeding her questions, and she was relaying them to you.
Yeah, Michelle, you got to talk to her more than anybody. What did you think?
Well, I had said to Jim that I thought that she was a little confused on what she was asking for. So whether she was brand new and had just taken in so much information in a storefront, or she was doing some research, or like Jim said, just the middle person, I wasn't certain. But I do think that you left her in a good position of saying, get the training. We all know training is key, and it takes time. That's the biggest thing that we need to take into consideration. You can't find a caliber. You can't find that gun right away. And, people are always asking, what should I do? What should I do? And, start small. Take your time.
Well, another thing that I was thinking is, when you were saying you need to get some classes to get more knowledge and everything, oftentimes new shooters think that the smallest gun is what's going to be best for them, and that's often not the case.
Right, right. This stuff is complicated. There's actually, if you've been at it a while, you forget how much you learned and how you learned it gradually. I mean, you got caliber designation by itself is confusing. Then you go to bullet weight, grains. And then people say, well, I mean, when we talk about powder charges, are you talking about grains? Are we going to count each little grain of powder? And it just goes on, and we take all that stuff for granted.
Right. And when I say, start small, that referring to caliber-wise, starting small, with the caliber and working your way up through. And it's confusing. So start with one thing. Start with a mid-sized gun that has a little bit of weight and a small caliber. And then just gain more knowledge. What are your different calibers? What are the different grains? How do they feel? How do they shoot? Once you've got the basis, you can always grow.
I may be making a change in my opinion on this. I think I don't know if they've evolved or devolved. I'm not sure which. But I'm thinking that for people who are brand spanking new to this, maybe their first self-defense gun needs to be a 22 rimfire.
I wouldn't disagree. I mean, a 22 is a great place to start, and just to train on, regardless of what kind of gun you get after that, it's always a good fallback if you can find ammo.
Right.
Yeah, and you can find some ammo.
Right.
You can still find,
right.
Well, like you kept saying too, if you can, what you've got on you is better than nothing.
That's it. Any gun's better than no gun. A lot better than no gun at all. So,
well, another option you have too is getting two guns. Get your carry gun and get a replica air gun, so you have something to practice with. Cheap. That's
not a bad idea. You could, because they've got these airsoft or BB guns that are identical to a lot of semi-auto or revolvers out there.
Right. That way you're familiar with it, and your muscle memory is going to develop, whether it's that particular piece or the actual firearm.
Yeah.
You can practice grip and stance and holster draw and trigger control, all with an airsoft gun.
And for us safety-loving guys.
There you go. And let me get a caller in here, and when we come back, I've got a question for you guys. I've just been taken to task in an email I want to ask you about. But let me get Norman on line 2 in here. He's in Dallas. Hey, Norman, how you doing?
Yeah, I just have the 2011 Mini 14 ranch rifle, and I bought this in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody tell me this guy can handle 5.56, but right behind the side, it says caliber 223. It does not mention 5.56.
Right.
And I believe this one does handle 5.56, but I'm just wondering why this particular one I have does not label 5.56 behind the sight.
I don't know that, but most people, look, here's the reality. We always say if the gun is stamped 223, you should shoot only 223 in it, and if it's stamped 5.56, you could shoot both in it. The reality is most people use them interchangeably. There's no issue whatsoever. If you had a question or if you were a little bit concerned about it, what I would suggest you do is contact Ruger, give them the serial number, and say, am I okay to shoot 5.56 in this? And they'll tell you, yeah, it's fine. We just didn't stamp them that way back then. Or they may say, no, we actually didn't do the chamber that way and would prefer you shoot only 223. I'm not sure which it is, but I know that truly most people just interchange them and there really is no issue.
They told me it's fine, but the thing I'm surprised is those new guns at the Cabela's, if you look at them, it says 223/556. Now, I bought this in upstate New York, so the control is tight. So I'm wondering, does this have anything to do with the place where this thing is sold, or maybe they just changed the label or something?
No, I don't think. Is it an older gun or is it a new gun?
No, this is a new one I bought 3 years ago.
Okay, personally, I would shoot either one, and I wouldn't worry about it. That's just me. But again, I would suggest if you have any concern at all, just call Ruger. They have real good customer service, and just ask them and give them the serial number, and I think they'll take care of you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, Norman. Appreciate it.
All
right, guys.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
When people experience problems like that, Tom, is it? It's not a stovepiping issue generally, isn't it? It's not a chamber.
Actually, I've never heard of anybody having any problem.
Okay.
The 223 has a slightly different chamber diameter or chamber shape, slightly, but it's so small that if you have a 5.56 chamber, you can shoot 223 in it. So, I mean, I literally have never heard of anybody having a problem going back and forth.
So we're creating a problem that doesn't.
It's one of those theoretically, possibly, if everything was out of spec in exactly the wrong direction, possibly there could be an issue.
Be an extraction issue, wouldn't it, if the case?
Yeah, but that's probably all it would be. You'd have a little bit more pressure and maybe an extraction issue, but I don't think it'd be a safety issue at all.
Gotcha.
But I certainly have never heard of any problem there. I got to ask you guys a question. A guy just wrote me. He said, you said something about an automatic pistol and basically saying, don't you know they're semi-autos and don't you think you're causing problems for us? And I'm going, yeah, for the last 50 years, we've been saying semi-auto versus auto, and people say, I've got my automatic. And we all know it's a semi-auto. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you just kind of you bounce back and forth. What do you guys think?
I think that we should be consistent because we're constantly giving, and not hypocritical, because we're constantly giving the press a hard time when they use the term auto when they mean semi-auto. For us to not follow the same guidelines seems kind of hypocritical.
Well, a mag is different than a clip, It's the nomenclature that's important. They describe different things.
Yeah, and I get his point, and I just know that, generally speaking, people will say, well, I've got me a Remington automatic shotgun, and we all know it's a semi-auto.
Right.
And so, to your point, Jim, I get it when you're talking to the general public and you're trying to make the point between the semi-auto and auto, automatic being full auto. I don't know. Every once in a while, I just think, boy, we are straining at stuff here, and I'm not sure. I just don't know how important it is. And then other times I'll say, yeah, we got to stick right to it. So I feel strongly both ways.
Your continuity police will go in.
That's it. That's exactly right. Before our break here, let's get Brian in here on line 3 out of South Carolina. Hey, Brian, you got your 44 mag?
Yes, sir. Oh, I made a pawn shop find that you cannot believe this week.
Talk to me. What'd you get?
It's a 1962 old Ruger 3-screw unmolested Super Blackhawk. I mean, no transfer bar, nothing.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'll give him $50 for it right now, Tom.
Yeah.
$50, hey.
Yeah.
Heck of a deal.
And because I don't want to beat the poor guy up, I have a whole bunch of leftover ammo from my last 44, which is 250 grain hard cast Keith loads. but I want a pussycat load for this one to have fun with, and I don't know what bullet weight. And I see on the internet, and boy, I don't trust anything I see there. Unique or Tight Group as a nice 800, 900 foot per second load, and I didn't know if you had a favorite of your own.
I don't. I am so ecumenical about it. I go all over the place. So obviously, you're loading your own. I would stick with whatever is. Well, you know what you could do.
Mine are nasty though. Mine are for the old 29
I know.
I used to have.
But what I'm thinking is, why not use a 44 special load?
That's exactly what I was going to recommend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can shoot 44 special and a 44 mag. Just use the load data from a 44 special.
Your arm and wrist will thank you.
Yep, it calms it right down.
Okay, but you still that would be a 44 special case though. You don't dare put 44 special recipe in a 44 Magnum case, do you?
You could, but here's the thing: you don't have to. If you had 44 special cases, you could load those, but you don't have to, because if you look at the load data in these various manuals, there are going to be light loads out there. What you want to go with is a lighter bullet, clearly.
Okay.
And because that's going to have less recoil and then less velocity. So I would just basically load on the lowest end so that and there are going to be some that are going to be in the, 7, 8, 900 foot per second with a light bullet.
Yep.
Those are going to feel so good, you're going to just fall in love with them.
On a question on Brunel hardness, I just looked on the box of the bullets I have are 20 to 22, but everything I'm seeing in Midway is in the 15 to 17 range. What can you tell me about how important hardness is to leading or problems you may have?
Hardness is important to help prevent leading, but if you're going to shoot them in lower velocities, you basically don't get leading at lower velocities.
Okay.
It's only when you start pushing them fast. So if you've got lightweight bullets, you could shoot inexpensive lead bullets, don't push them fast, and you're not going to get much leading. Okay.
Well, and Tom, before I go, thanks for doing this after show. Thanks for doing your regular show, for that matter. We love it. We love it here.
Well, they won't let me go anywhere else, so this is all we get to do. So here we are, guys.
Okay, well, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, Michelle, you were starting to talk about the 44 Special. I guess people don't know that you could shoot a 44 Special and a 44 Magnum.
Right. It's some of the hidden industry information, I guess, maybe, or maybe just familiar with the, I don't want to say old-timers, anybody take offense, but people that have been there for a while. It's very similar to shooting a 38 Special in a 357 Magnum. Yes, the cartridge is different, but they're interchangeable because the diameter is the same. So you can use it safely, not vice versa, but you can always put a 38 in a 357. And it does. It just lightens up the load and makes it far more comfortable and cheaper.
And I just learned of one I'd not heard of before. Going even further on that scale, Black Hills Ammo now loads the 38 Long Colt. You can shoot those in a 38 Special or 357, and they have even less recoil than a 38 Special.
I think some of this information is coming out because ammunition is hard to find, and so when there's an oddball box, it's like, oh, what can I use that for? Or can it be used?
Got to buy guns for this.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think they may have started loading it for the cowboy action guys.
Right. I think you're right.
But if you've got a 38, particularly like if you had a little snubby and it's just not that much fun to shoot, if you had some 38 Long Colt, you could shoot it in there just at not for defense, but for at the range. Man, it just tames it down. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Well, the origin where we started versus where we are now is quite different, and those are, older calibers.
Right, when we didn't have a lot of pressure in guns, that
right.
type of thing.
Right.
Tom, you and our
Yes,
caller
sir.
were discussing leading. I'm assuming that's lead fouling?
Lead fouling in the barrel. And lead fouling is pretty obnoxious. Not like powder fouling, which you can just get out with a solvent.
Right.
You got to scrub and use an abrasive, and lead fouling
kind of bonds to the lands and grooves in
yeah,
there?
it really sticks. It's a sticky stuff. So if you're shooting lead bullets fast, here's what happens. If you can imagine, lead is, think of it as the consistency of a stick of butter. So think of it as being kind of soft almost.
Okay.
If you shoved it slowly, it would engage the rifling and it would turn. But if you shoved it fast enough, it would just slip through, and basically the rifling would strip off the sides and just peel lead off the sides.
So your accuracy is going to also diminish, right?
Your accuracy goes to heck in a handbasket,
right,
you bet.
Right, okay.
And a leaded-up barrel, then if you shoot jacketed bullets in it, well, what did you just do? You just reduce the diameter of the barrel a little bit.
Right.
So your accuracy goes to heck, and now you could get higher pressures.
It's a safety issue.
Yeah, and if you go to Brownells, has all sorts of good stuff for removing leading. So people who shoot a lot of cast bullets, they know all about leading. That's what he was asking. And so the harder bullets, there's a Brunel hardness scale, and the harder the bullet, the better it is for shooting at higher velocity. And also it holds together better when you hit bone and that type of thing.
So it's not just a typesetting term anymore.
No, exactly right. All right, let's take a quick break, guys, and then we'll come back. We got David on here, and I know we got some things we want to talk about, but this might be the perfect time. We'll do that. Dale, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you.
Tired of paying for one concealed carry holster after another that's flimsy, hard to hide, or just plain uncomfortable? Alien Gear holsters feature a super stealthy and ultra comfortable design. Our professional quality holsters are backed by an ironclad triple guarantee, including a free 30-day test drive, free shell trades for life, and a forever warranty. Starting at just $29.88, you won't find a better quality or better priced holster on the planet. Any planet. Go to aliengearholsters.com to get yours now.
All right, now we are back, as a matter of fact. It doesn't take long around here. Dale, before you lose interest and you go somewhere else, I want to get you in here on line 4. How you doing, Dale?
I've got a Colt Gold Cup that I've had for several years in the box, and the guy I bought it from, myself, we just shot probably half a box of rounds through it. But got a 9mm random that's labeled on the side 9mm Parabellum. So is it okay for me to shoot some of these higher powered 9mm shells to that?
Okay, I'm not quite understanding. You said you got a Colt Gold Cup 1911. I'm assuming that's in a 45 automatic, right?
That's correct. And then I've got an identical random pistol in 9mm.
Okay.
And then I was just wondering, can I shoot some of these higher powered 9mm shells through this random pistol?
Well, I don't know what a random pistol is. I apologize. I just don't know what that is. But if it's stamped 9mm Parabellum or 9mm Luger, yes, you can shoot regular 9mm ammo in it.
Well, on the hunting I did on the internet, it's an old German-made or Polish-made pistol. But anyway, and it's stamped 9mm Parabellum. So.
Oh yeah, you can use modern 9mm ammo in it then. All right, Radom R-A-D-O-M. I've just looked it up there. I was not familiar with it, but there you go. A Polish Radom pistol. Cool, interesting. Let me go back to the Gold Cup you've got in the box.
Yeah.
If it had never been fired and you wanted to sell it, I would say don't shoot it. Keep it in the box. But since it's been fired, then more shooting is not going to affect it because you can't sell it as a never been fired, new in the box gun. So I would say if you want to shoot it, just shoot it and have fun with it because the Gold Cups are great pistols.
Okay. But like I said, I was worried about the random pistol on shooting these high-powered 9mm lobes through it.
Well, I think you'll be okay. Like I say, I'm not used one. I'm not that familiar with them. But if it's stamped for 9mm Luger or 9mm Parabellum, you should be okay. I probably would not shoot plus P ammo. That's the higher pressure ammo. I would use just regular 9mm ammo, but I would not use ammo that's marked plus P. That's for higher pressures. So there you go. Dale, look, I wish you luck with it. Sound like you got a nice pistol there. Michelle, you've seen guns come and go. People talk about new in box, selling those. Once you shoot a gun, it's not new in box anymore, right?
That's correct. It doesn't matter if it's 1 round, 10, or 100. It's used.
Yeah, exactly. You say, well, I only got a half a dozen. Well, okay, but you shot it. I mean, if you pull the trigger once on it and shot it, it's no longer new in box. It's a used gun.
I often refer to it as being the same as purchasing your car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's used.
Now, how would you tell the difference between a gun that's never been shot? Because they are shot at the factory at least once, right?
Some are, not all. I think almost all of them are now. I don't think that was the case in the old days, was it, Michelle?
Oh, ever since I've known,
Yeah.
they've all been shot at least a couple of times just to verify that everything is functioning well. And now they have to shoot them and send along a cartridge.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So I guess to your question, Jim, it's a good question. Is how would you know if it was shot at the factory and then you only shot it, a few times? Is it going to look any different?
Yeah,
Essentially, can you pawn it off as being unfired?
Which sounds like we're trying to pawn off a gun.
Probably.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, when you get into the world of gun trades and gun sales, it really is buyer beware, and there are some Sharpies out there who are absolute crooks. I mean, there's no other way to say it. There are some crooks out there that
clean and polish it and pawn it off as new.
Clean it well, and they also go the other way. They take one and make it look older and antique it and sell it as an antique when it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, people do their due diligence when they're purchasing a vehicle. They either have a Carfax or whatever, or they take it to a mechanic before they buy it and say, hey, do this a once-over on it for me, would you? There's no reason why, in a lot of cases, you can't take a gun to a gunsmith or something and say, check it out.
Even then, the gunsmith may not know. You really have to become the expert. If you're saying, okay, I'm going to get into single-action Army, Colt revolvers, then you better read the books. You better be on the online groups and either that or have somebody, because if you say, okay, I'm going to start putting real money, I'm going to start spending thousands of dollars
That's
on
what
these.
makes a difference.
I mean, if you're going to pay $500, okay, you're not getting an old classic expensive investment gun. But if you're going to drop $5,000 or $10,000 on a gun, you better know what the heck you're doing. And trust me, nobody's trying to do fakes that they sell at $500. That's not where the money is.
That's right.
Right.
We were shooting yesterday, Tom. It was
Talk to me.
Cute story. My buddies are coming down from Detroit. They said, let's do some shooting. I said, great, come on out. What kind of ammo do you buy? I said, well, you can never go wrong with 9.45 and try to pick up some 10. Mm-hmm. So I ran all over town trying to get some 10. Couldn't find it anywhere. I said, oh, man. My buddy shows up. He says, we couldn't find 9 or 45 anywhere. All we could find was 10. He brought 2 boxes of 10 with him. All right.
You're good to go. So let me ask you, how did they enjoy shooting your 10?
They loved it. He said, man, this thing's snappy.
Yeah, it is.
Says, yeah.
I mean, 10's a Magnum.
Yeah, it's basically like a 357 or a 40 on steroids.
It's real close to a 41 Magnum.
But he's like, this is a beautiful gun. Why would you shoot it? I said, because that's what guns are for.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I've got one put back. I've got serial number 1 of the Gun Talk, the GT10s. But serial number 9, I shoot that thing regularly.
There you go.
That's what they're for.
You got 2 of them?
I know.
You know somebody.
I knew somebody.
What?
Heck of a deal. Yeah.
I
Well, just you wait.
Face.
We're going to do another. I mean, I just go ahead and say we're going to do another Gun Talk gun.
Ooh, ... yeah. ...
And I am pretty sure, like 99.9% sure, it's going to be a 10 millimeter.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah. And probably end of the year is when we'll be able to give the information on it. I'm not sure, but...
What a tease. What a tease you are.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to tell everybody all the details because everybody's going to say, I want one right now. Well, it doesn't exist. I mean, it literally... They have not made this gun yet. And so if I start telling people with the brand and all that stuff, then people are going to go crazy for it. But the problem is, as you know, it's like in selling anything. Until it actually happens, it hasn't happened.
It's Tom Gresham's Vapor Hardware.
That's it, vaporware. That's right.
So
Would you like some 10-millimeter vaporware?
To go with that, yeah.
What they need to know is to start looking out for 10-millimeter ammo and save your money for the pistol. It'll be there.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. And I will tell you, that GunBot website where I've talked about, gunbot.net, I found 10-millimeter ammo there at a good price. I don't know if the ammo's any good, but I don't really care. Because in this case, this is just shoot it at the range ammo, and I wouldn't hunt with it, and I certainly wouldn't use it for defense.
Carry, right.
But 10 millimeter ammo is pretty pricey anyway.
Right. You know where I've got some great 10 millimeter from?
Where?
Double Tap. Mike set me up with some. It just
Well, he makes practice ammo, doesn't he?
Yep. I've never had any issues with anything. Well, I haven't had any issues with the gun at all, but it's reliable, and it's not the monster man stopper self defense rounds, but it's
I forget
60% of the cost.
That he has the practice ammo he sells, because I always think of these really high end loads that he has, which are fabulous. But yeah, you're right. You can get Double Tap has practice loads. I'm looking right now. He's probably got more variations in 10 millimeter loads than anybody in the business.
Yep. Well, he is the 10mm man, isn't he?
He is the his nickname. Okay, here you go. 10mm, 180 grain FMJ match ammo. Not bad. I mean, it's all expensive, but it's not bad. And if anything ever would convince you to start taking up reloading is if you got seriously into 10s.
Yeah. No kidding. There's some incentive.
Yeah, no kidding. But, fun stuff. Oh, I got to tell you guys, last week I took the week off. I appreciate you guys letting me get out of town for a little while.
It's the least we could do for you, Tom.
Well, I appreciate that. I was up in Idaho, actually Cascade, Idaho, which is north of Boise. Fabulous place. Beautiful. A bunch of us flew in. All of my pilot buddies had a bunch of folks fly in for a pig roast, of all things.
Cool.
And it was a celebration. There's a couple, husband and wife, and they both just got back from Afghanistan, and both of them are Air Force pilots, fly C-17s, the big transports.
Oh, yeah.
And they fly some other things where they get to drop bombs and cool stuff. But really nice young couple. Of course, everybody's young to me these days. But what we did is, one of the things we did, among a lot of, we were there for 4 days, everybody wanted to go shooting. So we went out, and it was really interesting. Even people who have shot a lot, we ended up, I just basically worked with them individually, probably 5 or 10 minutes on each one, just shooting a pistol. And rather than have them all bring theirs, we ended up just shooting a Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm, just kind of the, grab this, you're going to like it. It was actually Pat's gun, my wife's gun, with a really nice trigger job by Jerry Mitchell. And it was interesting to see if you just work with somebody a little bit on the grip and the trigger control. Put your trigger, use just the pad of your finger, and you just stand there basically talking into the ear about pressing the trigger, and we're working. And every time I slipped in dummy rounds. And so when they would get to the dummy round, it'd go click, and they would jerk that barrel down. I said, okay, that's what I'm talking about. You can't see it during the recoil. And after that, everybody was shooting great little groups. It really was fun.
Just to spite you, I'm not going to let this muzzle jump now. I'm going to.
Well, that's what you do. You say, I'm embarrassed. I mean, I didn't know I was doing that.
It works.
You can do it to yourself. If you're shooting by yourself, you think, oh, man, I hate that. I didn't know I was doing that. And so I just recommend everybody keep dummy rounds around just for that, just as a tune-up.
Yeah, good call.
We do that a lot in class. If you have 2 or 3 mags and you're doing a demonstration, we'll throw a dummy round in one of the mags or maybe 2 of the mags in a different location. Mm-hmm. And then when you go and do a reload and you go, oop, I got a failure, it not only teaches you, okay, I've got a failure of some ever, so you got to tap it and rack it to get that round out of there to make the gun work again. But it also teaches you, like you said, I think I might be on that trigger a little too hard.
I'm just yanking that thing, and So, and it's amazing how your groups will, first of all, they'll go to the right point on the target, so you're actually hitting the bullseye, but also the groups will shrink with good trigger control. So there it is. But anyway, we had a good time. Got to get up in the mountains, and it had some cool air and cool mountain lake, and jumped in that, and got to shoot and swap stories and throw a big old pig in the ground and cook it.
And now you got to work.
Yeah, that's all right. We're about to crank up shooting the next season, First-Person Defender. We start that in a week.
Oh, boy.
And that's always a lot of fun. I mean, those shows are intense.
Yeah.
Where we take somebody and drop them into a self-defense situation. We're going to duplicate the Las Vegas Joe Wilcox deal. Where, they were the tail gunner we talked about, where the woman was trailing back behind the other shooter and shot the good guy in the back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
we're going to duplicate that one as a teaching point.
Ah, brilliant.
Neat.
So somebody's going to be in a situation where they're going to save the day, and they're going to get shot by one of the other customers. And then we're going to go, okay, let's figure this one out. We'll do it again after we get a little training and see how well we do the second time through.
Yeah, you want to make sure you get that on first shot because you go through a lot of personnel that way.
Yeah. Fortunately, we're using simunitions, which is a good thing.
Okay.
Because if we didn't, it's hard to get volunteers.
I was just going to volunteer until you said that, yeah.
I think I'll be washing my hair.
Why do they hold my payback 30 days?
Yeah, really. Yeah, oh, man. All right, guys. Well, look, it's, as always, lots of fun, and I appreciate you spending the time.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. You guys have a good week, and we'll do it again next Sunday.
All righty.
See you then.
All right, take care.
You've been listening to the Gun Talk After Show. It comes up after the regular radio broadcast right here. You can download it on your pod, or you can listen to it right on your computer. This is where Tom, Jim, Michelle, and Michael hang around and have a little more fun doing what they do best, talking about guns. Check us out online at guntalk.com, and we'll see you back here next week.